Okay. Hello, Combs family.
Hello.
My name is Miss Gloria Combs, and I am a social worker at ABC Counseling. And we're going to talk a little bit about what brought you into the office today for a family counseling session. The session will be approximately 10 to 15 minutes. We're just getting a overlying idea of what's causing issues in the home. I do have to disclose that if you or someone in your household poses a risk of harm for yourself or any child abuse or elderly abuse, it does have to be reported as a mandated reporter, and this information will be confidential. Now, there may be a breach in confidentiality if I have to talk to my supervisor or colleagues about possible solutions to help further assist you. I do have a pen and paper for notes, and at any time you want to see what those notes are, just please allow the session to be finished and I will share those notes with you. Okay?
Okay.
Is everybody clear on that?
Yes.
Okay, so Mr. Combs, what brings you and your son in today?
We are here to figure out some solutions to Gabriel's attitude issues.
Okay, so when you say attitude issues, tell me a little bit what that looks like.
Uh, Back talking,
Okay,
slamming doors,
okay,
bumbling, those types of things.
okay. And so, Gabriel, do you feel like you have an attitude
Mm,
problem?
sort of like at times I do.
Okay.
Not like normally probably yes, but yeah, I think
Okay, so what do you think are some of the things that cause you to have an
I
attitude problem?
because when I just got done doing something and you ask me another thing to do, it
Okay.
just irritates me.
And have you ever shared that with your parents?
No,
Why not?
because they just say you're supposed to do it. You shouldn't have an attitude about that. I'm like, come on, I just got done doing something and now you're gonna ask me to do something else.
Okay, and Mr. Combs, I saw you kind of look at him. Tell me what you're feeling right now.
Um, well, if if I and his mother, the parents, provide everything for him without complaint, we expect things to be done in the house that should be taken care of by him without complaint.
Okay. On a daily
We
basis,
don't bother him much.
mhm. On a daily basis, how many tasks do you think you ask of him?
One or two. Take out the trash being one. That which usually it's one or two bags a day, depending upon who's out in the house, and also to do a few of the dishes. And me and his mother cook and do dishes, mop, sweep, all that. And we ask you one time to handle one task, and it's not even every day.
Hmm.
Maybe two times a week. I don't see why there should be a bickering behind that.
And so, Gabriel, what do you feel when your parents ask you to do multiple different tasks?
Like because there's other kids that are here and they don't do as much work as I do. Well, I know I'm the oldest, but like still
Okay. And how many siblings do you have?
three, but one's four.
Okay. And the 4-year old, does he kind of get on your nerves sometimes? And you kind of wonder why doesn't he have to do as
No,
much as you do?
kind of. I kind of understand a lot though.
Okay. How are you doing in school?
I'm doing okay.
And Dad, what kind of grades is he getting in school?
Good grades. I haven't seen this next term yet, but they were good grades.
Hmm. And what about social interactions? Do you have friends?
A lot of friends.
Okay. So, what are some things that you have seen work in the past to help alleviate some of the attitude issues? When are there days there aren't any attitude issues?
When we're out in public and able to do stuff.
Okay. So when you're asking him to do tasks in public, there aren't any attitudes, he just does them?
Yeah, there's usually 90 tasks in public though.
Okay.
It's just his behavior's better.
Mhm. So what I'm hearing you say that at home you feel like you're asked a lot of tasks from your parents, and when you give tasks in public, there isn't all of the extra back talking, slamming doors, and things like that.
Yeah.
Okay. So what do you think is different from being at home or being out in public and your parents ask you to do something?
Like, when we're out at public, I don't want to have, because other people see me as that. And I
Mm.
don't want, because people know I act like that at home, because they look like that. But, like, when I do tasks in public, it's like, just do it.
So what if your parents are pleased with the way that you do tasks in public, why not transfer that same energy to do it at home?
I don't know. I just,
Are you worried about what other people's perception of you might be if they see you acting the way you do at home versus in public?
yeah.
Okay. So, what are some of the consequences if he is slamming doors or back talking when he's asked to do tasks? What is a consequence?
If it's not done,
Mm-hmm.
it gets yelled at, or it doesn't get any cash
And so he's paid for doing like chores and stuff like
for
that.
the most part. But his mother makes deals with him,
Okay. So, if you know,
bribery, if you will.
oh, okay. So, if you're, have you ever seen attitudes even when he is given an incentive to do work?
Yes.
Okay. So, Gabriel, tell me a little bit about that. So, when you are given incentives as the oldest child, why is it still a challenge for you to just comply with the commands?
Sometimes I just don't want to do it because I just don't feel like, if I do something, then I will, but I just don't feel like doing the task sometimes.
Hmm. So, what I'm hearing you saying is that when you're asked multiple times to do things, you just don't want to do them, but you don't want your parents to get mad at you because you don't want to do them. Okay. So, is that something that you have let your parents know? Okay. Why do you think that is?
I just don't know because I think I should do them and not complain about it and tell them about it
Hmm.
because they know I should be able to do that.
So, what do you think would be fair when you said, I heard you say that you have other siblings, but you're asked to do more tasks because you're older? What do you think would make it fair so that you don't have as much of an attitude?
Because they do some stuff because like they don't pick up a lot of things like I do. They should because sometimes they just leave stuff and don't wash their dish, and I have to wash their dish sometimes.
Mhm. Do you ever let your parents know that they're not doing their part?
No, I just wash their stuff.
So, Mr. Combs, how do you think that you would react if instead of him getting an attitude, he vocalized why he would be getting upset because he's picking up the slack for his other siblings?
That would make a lot of sense. I wouldn't complain about that, and I would address the issue.
Mhm. How would you feel about that?
If it got addressed,
Yes.
I would be like it's fair because they should know that I'm tired of picking up their own stuff and kind of doing stuff for them.
Hmm.
Doing what kind of stuff?
Like picking up their things or like when I tell them to do something, sometimes they don't listen, especially my younger brother.
Hmm.
Just doesn't.
So, on a day to day basis, the younger sibling that's four, is he responsible for any tasks?
Yeah,
Is he as
keeping his playroom clean.
okay? And what's his attitude like when he's asked to do things?
Depends on his mood.
Hmm.
Either a meltdown, cry about it, whine about it, or just do it.
Okay. And is there any consequences if he doesn't do what he's asked?
Yes, there is. We have a spoon,
Okay.
and sometimes he'll get a spooning if he's acting out.
Like a spanking?
I wouldn't say a spanking, more like just a light tap.
Okay.
You like slow.
Okay. So I read a little bit about the family dynamics, that this is a blended family and the other three siblings are not here today. And we'll have another follow up meeting with that. Um, Gabriel, how do you feel about your blended family? Do you feel like you fit in? Do you feel like things are unfair? What are your feelings about your blended family situation?
Well, sometimes like me and my siblings bond. Like when they were here yesterday, we were like outside just talking about summer and stuff. But then it's like it depends on the day. It's like when they're like when they're laughing hysterically. That just and then when I say stop, they say get out. Like come on.
Hmm. And again, is this something that you just get upset about, or is this something that you let your
I
parents
just get
know?
upset about it.
Mhm. Do you think that there's a positive way that you could express your frustrations without slamming doors or getting upset by just letting your parents know in a pleasant way?
Yeah.
Do you feel like if you were to ask your parents to do something about it, do you feel like they would, or do you think that they would ignore
I
it?
think they would.
Okay. So what I'm hearing you saying, there are times that you bond with your family, and that there are other times you feel like they irritate you, but you don't say anything about it. What do you think is holding you from voicing your opinion about being asked lots of tasks, or reporting to your parents that somebody's not doing it? How does that make you feel to keep that inside all the
It
time?
just it makes me feel bad because I just don't let it out at all.
Hmm. Do you think it could be helpful if you did let it out? Okay. And it kind of sounds like sometimes the way you let that out is with frustration and anger when you're upset, instead of just voicing out, I feel like I've done a lot of tasks today. Can I skip doing this or that? How would you feel if he did come to you and said, I feel like I'm being asked a lot of tasks today. Is there any way another sibling can do this? What would be your response to that?
We could work something out,
Mhm.
depending upon what it is.
And what do you think about that type of response?
I like that type of response. I think it's fair.
Okay. So I'm going to give the family some homework and trying out an exercise where you make a list of daily tasks that need to be done from all the children and what your expectations are. To sit down as a family and talk about those expectations and make the environment welcoming so that the children are able to express their concerns, dislikes, and input on what they feel that they're being asked. And what I'm challenging you to do is, the next time that you feel frustrated or upset about a task that you're being given, instead of slamming doors or back talking or mumbling under your breath, to have a conversation with your parents, because at the end of the day, they are the ones that give you the guidance and tell you what you need to do. But it is also important for you to be able to voice those things, and to not just be told you have to do this and you can't say anything about it. So, going into our next week's meeting, hopefully the other children will be here and we can get their side of what's going on. And hopefully, over the next couple of weeks, we'll be able to find a solution that works for the entire family, so that we can reduce some of the tension in the home.
All right.
Um, we have a few minutes left. Are there any other concerns or questions that you have for me, or any clarification that you need on the exercises for next week? Okay. Well, I feel like today's meeting was very productive, and I appreciate you both for being here. And I'll see you next week. You can make an appointment with the receptionist. Okay? All right. Thank you very much.